Brigantine mains rejoice because ramming builds have finally reached their ultimate form with the addition of the new armor that we can get from farming sea monsters this season. I believe the name for this armor is pronounced Pishacha, and its main perk is called Phantasmic Thrust. Now, this will repair your ship's hull damage by 100% of the damage you inflicted while ramming. Currently, there's no cooldown for this, and it makes it an absolute game changer, because while the Brigantine mains are obviously going to be good with this one, I still highly recommend it for any build out there, especially tank builds. Now on screen today we have once again my jewel of Erised. This is my Brigantine, which comes stock with the Bullhorn perk that increases damage from ramming by 45% and gains additional speed while pursuing an enemy ship within 300 meters. Flooding weapons do get a bonus here, but we're saving that flooding build for a separate video. Now, anyone who has upgraded their Brigantine to ship level 6 of 6 will get an additional perk called Headstrong. This will increase the ramming damage you do based on the speed that you are going at that time. There is a cap to that damage though, and it's set at 80%, but this will still almost double your natural ramming damage. And if you're lucky enough to ram a ship that's flooded, you do get a bonus 7,000 damage for good measure. Now this alone is the reason that any captain worth his salt will gravitate more towards the Brigantine with this armor. Because, simply by selecting this ship, you are basically increasing the ramming damage that you can cause, while also increasing the amount of hull health that you will repair while ramming. And to make things even better, you can add in furniture like the emergency sails, which will also increase your trim speed by 10% while pursuing an enemy ship within 400 meters. Now you're already getting the bonuses I mentioned for this at 300 meters with the Brigantine's own perks. So adding this in will start off that speed boost 100 meters earlier, and this will boost your overall chase speed to 55% once you hit 300 meters. Using another furniture called the Iron Cladding Station 1, this will add in another 25% more damage to your ramming activities, giving you a flat 70% ramming damage overall, which, as mentioned, is going to increase the amount of health that you are getting while ramming. Now, as far as I can tell, this means that when you are not going at full speed, you will still be able to take advantage of 70% more ramming damage, and then when you do hit top speed, I believe you're only going to get another 10% more, because it should cap out at 80%. Unless I'm super wrong and you're getting a 70% damage bonus, and then when you start going at speed you get another 80% up on top of that. That could be the case, but man, I think we'd be cracking ships in half if that was the case, so I don't think that's happening, at least at this point. Now, I am using extreme hit and run tactics with this build, so I am increasing the ship's acceleration with furniture like the Secret Cache 1 and the Lestari Trophy. Now, the Lestari Trophy is only going to give me an acceleration percent of 7%, but I can add that to the 8% I get from the Secret Cache 1, along with a nice increase to my turning speed by 8%. Now, this 8% sounds super small, but at ship upgrade level 3 of 6, you get a perk called Deep Blue. This will improve every single medium ship's turn speed when traversing seas. So we are technically improving the overall turn speed of the ship even more with this. We top all this off with the Lightened Mast 1 for one more acceleration boost of 13%. This is going to be added in with the 15% we're already getting from our other furniture, putting us at a 38% increase to our takeoff speed, and oh boy, can you feel the difference. And as I mentioned, since this is a hit and run type build, this combination of furniture works extremely well for this. Now, veteran pirates may have noticed that I have not yet talked about any major furniture here. And well, that's because we can do a few different things here. You can help with the stamina drain because, let's face it, the Brigantine does take a lot of stamina to operate at top speed, and the war drums will help with this because this reduces your crew stamina depletion by 50% while trimming. And that nice little armor rating bonus that you get ain't too bad either. You also have the water tank, which is more for handling stamina drain while bracing, but that extra 20% stamina recovery is pretty nice. If you are someone like me who has been looking for a reason to finally use Freeman's Embrace, well, now is the time. We got these as a drop last season, quite a bit if you were me, and it will transfer damage status effects that your ship has to any ship that you ram. This is not a bad thing to have, considering that most enemies will leave you ablazed, flooded, and pierced quite often this season. Now, since I am being very aggressive with this build, taking on a bit of severe damage is going to happen from time to time, so you can use a minor furniture item called the First Mate's Ledger to help with this. It will repair 15% of severe damage after every single crew attack you make. Another minor furniture item that you should consider if you're doing the same hit and run tactics I am is the braced gun walls. This will increase your deceleration by 75% and you get a damage reduction to incoming secondary damage by 50% when you're anchored. This is actually a good thing to use anytime your ship gets disabled and you can't move. Now when it comes to weapons, it's dealer's choice. Whatever you come up with will work just fine because honestly, ramming is the real focus here. Seriously, with this build, you don't have to fire a single solitary shot. You can just ram other ships and heal yourself just fine with the damage that you're gonna do. But if you would like some suggestions, I am gonna recommend torpedoes only with this build. Now, I'm using the Endless Requiem on the broadsides and the Dahaka, I think that's how you say that one, on the bow and the stern. I actually only have one set of the Dahakas unlocked at this time. I have it on the stern, but once I get a second one, I will put it up front. Now, I'm using these for the ease of use they give me while moving at top speed and while changing directions. I just fire and forget for the broadside since they just track any enemies I shoot at. And for the bow and stern, I can use that Sunder perk we have. It's the one that pierces enemies and will allow the torpedoes to just continually run into ship after ship after ship. I use this so I can attack rows of ships that are foolish enough to sail right towards me in a straight line. For auxiliary, I'm just using the Warhammer because it does big damage and I want to do that when I'm stopped and adjusting course. But I do recommend using the Blight Keeper here also, since you can use the bubble defensively while you're stopped and changing course too. Now, like I said up top in the first paragraph, Brigantine mains are just eating super good this season. The armor makes it possible, but don't sleep on using this armor on tanks like the Battle Junk or the Snow. These ships are not made for ramming, no, but they do have larger hull health numbers than other ships. That means that they suffer the most from that god-awful repair kit cooldown that we have. And since most of the main ship perks they have are made up to help with stamina drain for bracing against damage, you'd have to use a furniture slot or two just to augment any self-repair boost that you'd get from something like a repair buoy. Since this armor repairs 100% of the damage you cause anytime you ram someone on its own, you can focus your build on defense and actively repair your whole health by ramming ships in between health kit cooldowns. And that is why I love the flexibility of this armor, because yes, you can 100% go all in on a ramming focused build and boost that playstyle, or you can take advantage of your favorite current build and just add the Pishacha, I hope that's how you say that, on and thrive. It's very much like the other sea monster armor we have, the Leviathan, in that regard. It just makes both of these armors very easy to use and 100% necessary for your collection. But hey, that is gonna do it for us this time around. Thank you for coming by. I have been Captain Cash of Stampede. Leave any comments you have for us down below. We'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, we'll see you in the seas.